Hello and welcome to episode 19 of An Earful Podcast. On today's episode we are joined by David Howard Thornton, who is also known for playing the character Art the Clown in movie Terrifier.
We also talk about Terrifier, the filming process and the creation of Art the Clown and his influences behind it, which we know a secret one for, which you'll hear further on in the podcast.
We have a secret comedic influence.
You wouldn't expect it.
No, you won't.
Yeah, we also get into talking about comic books and comic book movies. And we also get a few impressions from him as well, like throughout the podcast, which was pretty great as well.
I think it caught us off guard, didn't it?
Yeah, just to say the least, yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, there's a lot of laughter in this episode.
And let's not forget pet peeves as well, towards the end.
A good old pet peeve section. So if you haven't already, we have all of our socials, and if you've not already followed us on, make sure you do give us a good old follow. So you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter at An Earful Podcast. Thank you to everyone who's checked out all of the video content on YouTube and listened back to our previous episodes. It is really appreciated.
Enjoy the episode.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Greetings and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for coming on the podcast. We have David Thornton here, who plays Art the Clown in Terrifier. How are you? What have you been up to recently?
Oh, been pretty good. We just started filming part 2 recently, so I have about 2 weeks off from filming right now, but after that I go really hardcore into filming again, so it's good. It's good.
So how long's the actual filming period? Obviously, you've done a tiny bit now, but overall, how long is the project?
Well, it's going to take until about February because we have to start and stop a lot because of all these different holidays and stuff like that. Plus, we have to have a little bit more time to like put some of these bigger set pieces together and stuff like that. Because we're especially this one big scene that we're doing in the film, we're waiting till February to do. So it's a little bit, we have more time to like work on it because it's going to be a pretty complex scene. So it's like, we need more time. Plus we got a lot of extras we got to bring in from our Indiegogo campaign. So we figure once the holidays are over, people will be more free to come up here and film and stuff like that too.
Do you like having a longer period of time to like approach scenes and look at different aspects of how you're going to change the way you do certain things?
In some ways, yes, because when we filmed part 1, there was a lot of just back to back filming on days. That was tiring, because we would be on set for like at least 12 hours every single one of those days. So it'd be straight from set, and it was all overnight shoots too. So I'd be straight from set, then I'd go sleep for like 6 hours, and I'd be right back to set again to get makeup. And 4 days of that, you just want to kill over and die. So it's like, I think a lot of what you saw in part 1 was like, you saw a lot of my delirium, and it's just like, I guess some of the creativity comes out in the delirium.
Cool.
So compared to the first film, is this second one going to be a lot more bigger?
Yeah. It takes place in multiple locations too, so it's just like that.
Oh wow.
So it makes it bigger in that way, and plus we're going bigger on like plot wise. We're making it more of a narrative film this time, centered around like this family and stuff like that. So it's gonna be bigger in that way. Then we got bigger scenes too. We're being a lot more ambitious this time around with that kind of stuff too. So it's gonna be interesting.
Does your approach change from the Terrifier to Terrifier 2 because you're saying you're going larger and telling more of a narrative? Have you now got a different outlook on what you want in from the character?
No, the character stays the same, I would say. So that he's still Art. You still have his mischievousness and all that kind of stuff in the over the top kill scene. So that's not being lost. We're because I know that was like one of the main complaints we had with part 1 is people were like, well, where's the story? There's no story. I'm like, well, there's small story in there. It's just like. It's like how a lot of those original slashers were back in the day, where they were very light on story. It was just more about the survival aspect of it all. So, but as they went into more sequels as well, they started building more of the canon behind the character, and they started universe building, I guess you could say, and that's what we're doing with this.
that's really come about because I could correct me if I'm wrong here. The first time I saw Art the Clown was in All Hallows Eve, and then I saw him
Correct.
transition. There was a short called Terrifier first, wasn't there?
And that's actually in All Hallows Eve.
Oh right, okay. So that's what
Yeah.
you see on the VHS tape. 'Cause
Yeah,
short is
the whole
only one
gas
of
station part. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's Terrifier. That's the original Terrifier.
So
That was more like a test to see how if anybody likes this character or not, because Art wasn't intended to be the main character at all in All Hallows Eve. It was just everybody kind of glommed onto him and like, oh wow, this tested pretty well. Okay, let's do more with him. So that's what they decided to do.
Oh right. Okay. I didn't know that.
It's kind of a bit like Lights Out as well.
Yeah, I was about to
isn't it,
say.
as a short.
So there seems to be a growth in terms of expanding short ideas, like taking these small concepts that work and then obviously making them grow to large expansion, with it being in films, long length films. But
Exactly.
I think it's the right way to do it now, where they're actually seeing these unique special ideas and concepts and stuff like that, and then working on that. Then kind of going with the same sort of stuff, like obviously the whole paranormal stuff going on and all of that. But yeah, I like the whole idea that they're working with unique concepts now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, they kind of did that with Annabelle too. She was like, when she first appeared, she was like this small little thing, and then she got her own. That's kind of what they've done with Art.
Yeah, totally.
What did you think of like the Conjuring series and Annabelle, like so far?
They're okay. I mean, I've seen some. I haven't seen all of them. I saw the first Annabelle. I actually haven't seen the second and third ones yet, but I hear they're even better. So I'm like, I need to watch them. There's only so much time in the day. They don't show those on. Because I also have like Netflix and Hulu and all that kind of stuff, and they don't show those on there. And I'm like,
Yeah,
Shudder's
so I have to
the
kind
one.
of seek them out.
I don't know if can you get Shudder in a?
I think it's
US,
available
yeah.
in the US. Yeah.
Yes, we do have Shudder. I just don't have Shudder.
Oh, okay. It was
Yeah.
not a shameless promotion. Just
Oh no, none at all. No,
Okay.
this is like that's the thing. It's like there's so many of these like these kind of services now for streaming. So it's like I can't have them all.
yeah. So you're $5 here and $5 there.
That's the scary thing of it now, because everybody's got their own streaming service now. There's going to come to a point where you can't have everything.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like now Disney's about to start theirs up
Oh, yeah.
now. It's just like
Apple
geez.
and everyone else.
Well, yeah, they're starting the new. They got a new series on the new Disney Channel now, aren't they, for the Star Wars?
Yeah.
Is it a new
Yeah,
series?
the Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks good.
Yeah, it does.
I'm just not gonna be able to watch it because I'm not gonna get this Disney Plus.
We're not getting
I'll
it.
probably have to like I guess like go on like torrent sites or something like that.
The old-fashioned way.
Shame on me. Yeah, it's just like, but I'm like, I'm not gonna pay a whole entire thing for every month for one show. That's the thing. It's like I'm not gonna. Yeah, no.
Maybe streaming will pick back up again with people torrenting films and.
Yeah, I wish Disney had just stayed on Netflix. That makes things so much easier.
Yeah.
It's like they already have all the money in the world.
But we need more.
That way there's no
Yeah.
competition anyway.
Oh, it's just it's pathetic. As I tried to like they did like Little Mermaid live here like 2 nights ago, and I wasn't able to watch it because I don't have cable. So I was like, oh, I'll watch it on Hulu the next day. And I go on Hulu, and I'm like, oh, it's not on Hulu. It's because they decided not to put this one on Hulu because of Disney Plus. I'm like,
So is it over there now? Because we're not getting it until about March next year, apparently.
No, we're not.
yeah, I don't know if it's here yet. I think maybe it comes out later this month or something like that, or some. I don't know. I haven't really kept up with it because I'm like I said, I'm like, I'm not gonna do it.
No.
It's like, it's just like I've seen most of those movies anyway, so it's just like there's nothing that's making me I have to get this. There's no like must see thing that I have to actually go on there and get.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go there just for one show. So it's just like
it doesn't justify it, not at all, for one show.
Let's hope Disney are watching this. Well, I'll listen to this. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh, we heard exactly what you did there, David. We're going to kill you now, you bastard. You motherfucker! How dare you say this about me?
Oh my god.
And just Donald's like, McDonald's. Watch your mouth there, boy. Gosh, you're just going off over there.
We don't need to get Disney. We can just like we can. Just
I'm my own Disney Channel. Bippity boppity boo, bitches.
Oh my god.
So you can do impressions by any chance?
Oh, just a few. Just I can entertain myself easily. It's sad. It's kind of sad. So back when I was in college, people were sometimes like, "How many people did you have in your room last night?" And I was like, "Oh, it was just me." Like, but I heard all these. I was like, "Oh, it's just me."
It's me chilling. Oh, it's
just
anyway.
Me. No, it was really bad, especially when I was like practicing all my different accents and stuff like that. It's like, were you having like a UN meeting? I'm like, no, it was just me.
So yeah, I know usually I don't know how to like I don't know how to like think you away from that now. That's pretty good. We might as well end the podcast now. I mean that's not going to better that. And that's the end of the episode. So yeah, it usually takes years for movies to gain a cult following and a loyal fan base, but upon the release of Terrifier, it seemed to quickly gain that popularity and cult following to the point in which the clown is like becoming one of those like icons of horror. So I know I recently went to a horror convention over here in Manchester, and there was like quite a few people just walking around dressed up as Art the Clown, and different people selling like images of Art the Clown and stuff. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, to say it only came out, was it like 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, we released officially on March of last year, so it's only been like a year and a half.
Wow, that's crazy. So to say it's been out literally a year and a half, which is crazy. Like to say it's gained such a big cult following, because usually it takes like a few years at least for a movie to gain that kind of like a fan base. Like, do you expect it to be as successful as it was?
No. No, we did not expect this at all. We were like, because we were trying to be honest with ourselves, because we were like, we're just a small, low budget independent film that maybe the fans of All Hallows Eve will like this, but like a lot of people didn't even know about All Hallows Eve back then either. So it's just like, well, we'll see what happens. I'm like, we thought we had something cool, but we were just trying to be honest with ourselves. When you're competing against Hollywood, it's just like, when you have Annabelle out there and It and all that kind of stuff, it's like, and we're just like, hi.
I think the fact that it's an independent film though really adds to the charm of the character and the whole, the movie that has been created from it.
I hope so. I think what's been great about being an independent film is like we're not beholden to the studio system at all. And I think that's like one of the main problems with horror films right now anyway, is the studio system. They've really come in there and they've watered down horror in a lot of ways. They've taken all the stuff that a lot of people want to see out of those films. They're afraid to take risks anymore. I've been like binge watching on Amazon Prime, product placement, but I've been binge watching all these older horror films from the 80s, and I'm like watching the stuff that they were doing in those films back then, and those were like the mainstream films, and you don't see that stuff in films anymore in horror. They don't show the kills really anymore or anything like that. They're too afraid to. They're too afraid to offend people, and they want to put more butts in the seat, so they're trying to make it more PG-13 than rated R. And being an independent film, we don't have to worry about those things. We don't have to worry about a studio coming in and saying, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. We're just doing what we want to do, and that's what we're doing with part 2 as well. We're not pulling back at all from what we did in part 1. We're kind of upping the ante. I think we probably have a scene or two that's going to be pretty controversial in part 2 that, we might get a lot of hate on, but that's, probably from like the PC police. They're like, you should not be doing that. You should not be showing that kind of violence or, that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, that's what you're supposed to do with horror. You're supposed to push those boundaries and see what you can get away with. because in a lot of ways, horror is like, turning the mirror on society. And, when people get offended, we're really showing, some of the evils of society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why people get offended. Like, how dare you flaunt this? I'm like, this is some of the stuff that goes on now. So it's like, yeah.
So if anything, you'll be gauging the film, hoping that someone, because no doubt someone will be offended anyway, but that's a good sign to yourself and Damien that it's
working.
You've done your job of what you wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It's like you got to have some kind of controversy. I mean, I look at the controversy that was around the Joker movie that came out recently.
Yeah.
That people were going nuts over about how like the violence or whatever was in this movie, and I went to go see it, and I'm like, this is what everybody was so upset over? This is nothing. This is absolutely nothing, especially compared to what we're going to be doing in part 2. I was like, oh, if they're complaining about this, oh boy.
It was so.
But that's the thing. He's like, films, even 20 years ago, they, like in Scream, you had Drew Barrymore hanging from a tree with her intestines hanging out. And it's like, you don't see that in movies anymore. It's just like, yeah, they would have, considered that controversial now.
Yeah, they would. Do you have any favourite horror movies that you've been binge watching from the 80s? Any that stood out to you and really helped?
Well, recently I just last night I watched the film Waxwork.
Okay.
Right.
Which is like from the early 80s. Really cool premise. I mean, it has that 80s cheese to it as well, but it's a really cool premise. I was like, that's a really cool idea. So it's like, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil too much about it, or if, for those that haven't seen it, even though it's like almost a 40-year-old movie. But it's a really clever premise. It's like this whole idea of like, this guy that sold his soul to the devil is opened up his own like waxwork, and he's trying to bring these other horrible characters throughout history and from literature to life. And like people fall into the dioramas of these characters and actually act out this stuff. So like they're in there with Dracula and Frankenstein, or Marquis de Sade, and it's like, this is crazy. This is a cool idea. So I really enjoyed it. It's something that surprised me. But like, if I'm going to name like my favorite horror films, I would say like my top 5 would be like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors, The Omen, Exorcist, and the original Halloween.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other ones I love.
Mentioned enough, really.
Oh, Omen is so good. It is so good. That's a creepy film.
Yeah, it's twisted, and it makes you feel uncomfortable watching certain scenes.
Oh God, the whole birthday party scene with like the hanging and all. I was like, oh God.
So with it being official today that they're apparently doing Scream 5, what do you think?
Yeah. We'll see. Well, I mean, like, I love the Scream movies, so I'm like, but I hope they stick to what worked originally. Yeah. I hope they stick to that and don't, cheapen it up any, like they've been doing with so many of these slasher films recently. Yeah. So I'm like, just stick to what worked.
Did you like the TV series when they released? Obviously, there are 3 of them now. Do you think?
Yeah, I just recently finished the 3rd season. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Do you think it works
especially
as a premise?
like the 3rd one?
Yeah.
What's that?
Do you think it works as a premise in terms of like?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll try again. Do you think it works?
It does,
as a premise,
because like. I think it does work as a premise, because it's like, it's one of those things where it's like it can be a different killer every single time, as long as they're wearing the mask. Because that's part of what's the charm to that series, is like, trying to figure out who the killer is.
Absolutely,
so that's always kind of fun. So and plus they all like to make fun of different horror tropes and everything in those. Yeah. Anyway, so I enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, Scream was actually my real introduction into horror films. Anyway, it's got a special place in my heart too.
Yeah,
it sort of reinvented the slasher genre and brought it back into an up-to-date, interesting genre.
It really did.
I think what annoys me with this announcement is I'm now worried about one of my favorite franchises, because so far all 4 are great, and this TV series. But since you were talking about these studios scared to take risks, I'm worried that a sequel is just going to be this boring not exciting, not near knuckle film anymore. And
plus, Wes Craven's not there to Wes Cravenize it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like you could always tell when he was involved, so they just had that kind of magical touch to it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Let's hope so. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to like the 80s movies, like you said you were watching, it was more about the practical effects, obviously, and I think that's a lot more effective because obviously you used a lot of practical effects in Terrifier.
Yes.
Which, like nowadays, obviously a lot of horror movies you're using like CGI and stuff, but to me, I don't think. For me, it's not as effective, and it doesn't like work as much for me when I'm watching a movie if I see like a lot more CGI.
Oh, I agree. It takes me out of it.
Yeah,
it's like they were like case in point. Like I enjoyed the film, but like the moments where you could tell it was obviously CG would just take me out of the moment there. And I'm like, oh, that would be so much better if that was practical instead of CG. Now, I understand when they had to do with certain things, like especially with like giant spider. Then, but, it's like there's certain things that I think just work better with practical effects.
I was saying this the other day when we was doing another podcast episode. I was going on about the scene in the sewer in the New It, where he's biting George's arm off, and I don't know, like the CGI on that bit. I just didn't like. Like the film's great, but the CGI compared to Tim Curry one where it was more practical. It was more like practical makeup that they did for him. I felt like that was a lot more effective than just the actual CGI Pennywise that they did for this bit. But don't get me wrong, the film's great, and so is the second one that they've just released. But I rely more on practical effects satisfying me more than CGI.
Oh, I completely agree. And like I always like to harken back to like the difference between the original Indiana Jones movies and the fourth one.
Yeah.
Where, like the first one, when he falls into the pit of snakes and he's like face to face with the cobra. Yeah, you can see a little bit of the reflection of the plexiglass there, but still, he's actually face to face with the snake.
Yeah.
And that and
physically as
your mind doesn't even see if you're really into it. Your mind doesn't register that little bit of a reflection on the plexiglass.
I didn't even know that
because you're believing it. Yeah, you can barely see it, but it's like, but it's you believe it because it's actually that's something physical, that's something tangible there. Then you skip to the fourth one, where it's like I like to mention like the ants. The ant hill and stuff like that. It's all CG ants, or like when he's like his son's swinging with the monkeys. It just looks so fake. It's just like it's just like you just don't have you don't have the same reaction to it because you automatically know in your head, oh, that's not real.
Yeah.
It's like that's obviously CG. You don't even. It's like a subconscious thing, so you don't buy into it as much.
And that really, for horror as well, takes you out of it, and then it affects the whole movie. So, yeah. Speaking of the practicality of it, how long does it take for your makeup, just out of curiosity?
Well, it originally took about 3.5 to 4 hours. Plus sometimes it would take even longer because Damien would have to go set up a shot or direct a shot and come back and do more. So I know there were a few days where I was in the makeup chair for 8 hours. Wow. And then I had to go film.
I saw an amazing time lapse of the makeup being done on yourself with like the blood stained tarp, and obviously it's those fine details that's got to be done differently every time, and it's only something I really noticed until watching that time lapse.
Oh, the blood stains are especially an annoyance. You got to worry about that continuity because we don't film everything in order. So it's just like this scene we filmed last week is like I'm covered in blood from head to toe because it's near the end of the film, and I'm like, oh great, now we got to like figure out how to get this bloody. And then every scene after this, we got to keep this bloody in the same areas, all these different splotches all over me. So we have to take all these continuity photos just to know where to throw some more blood on.
Wow.
It's a pain in the ass. Those are the things you really don't realize when you're watching, but it's like, you have to really pay attention to that.
Yeah, because as long as you're getting that right and audience member doesn't notice that, you've done the job perfectly, whereas you spot one little thing, once again it can take you out of the feeling of being horrified.
Is it Jaden having that where you're doing a scene at the end of the film to going right to the beginning again and then going back to the word? Is it tiring mentally to kind of go back and forth all the time?
I guess not as much for me because I'm pretty much the same character throughout. Yeah. So like, but I imagine probably for other people, because they have to get to those like emotional places they need to be. Yeah. And so I guess that can be a little bit challenging at times, especially when you haven't done the previous scenes that have already given you the emotions to get to where you are. So it's just like, geez, that's got to be rough. That's the one thing that's the main difference between doing film and theater. When in theater, you have the whole entire thing. You're acting out in front of everybody, so you have that luxury of being able to really get into the character and work through everything that the character goes through during those 2 hours or so that you're on stage, as opposed to a film where you just go in and especially on the set, there's so much just sitting around and waiting just to go on set. There's more time off set than there is on set. And so having to go right into those emotions, that's got to be challenging, especially for a lot of my female co-stars having to go straight into just like screaming their heads off for, I'm like, golly, I'm sometimes amazed watching them just like, golly, you're so good. You're so scared. Oh, I just want to hug you right now. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't do that because I'm supposed to be killing you.
So, what was your approach from the start of the original film to taking the character out of the clown that had already been created by Damien, and creating it to the character we know today? Like, because obviously, Art the Clown's a silent clown, so you couldn't rely on your voice. It was more of your physicality that you had to bring out to bring the character to life.
Correct. Yeah, that was the big challenge there because I'm a voiceover guy. So like I've always relied on my voice to, help me establish characterization and everything like that too in the past. And I didn't have any of that this time. So I had to really go into my other bag of tricks. And I'm like, luckily I have a huge like upbringing watching great physical comedians, and especially great silent comedians. And, like from Chaplin all the way through like Jim Carrey and Doug Jones. But like, I would say a lot of it, you would appreciate this being out there. It's like Mr. Bean. I grew up watching a whole lot of Mr. Bean. I like my aunt one year for Christmas when I was a teenager. I think I was about 13. She got me a whole entire compilation of all Mr. Bean's work, and I would just sit there and watch him over and over and over and over. And I was just absorbing it at all because like I love that kind of comedy. I love physical comedy like that. And I was like, this man is a genius.
Mr. Bean
he does so much. He does so much with so little. He's like, it's such a simple premise. Like him just going to the beach and having to change into a swimsuit. It just turns into a whole entire routine. It's like, this is amazing. And I'm like, and I've always wanted to play a character like that. So it's like when Art came along, I'm like, oh, this is my chance. I can finally, it's like he's an evil Mr. Bean because like he's got that mischievousness about him, like that Mr. Bean has, where he's always up to something. He's always kind of causing some kind of trouble or something like that. And he's like a kid, and Art's kind of like that too, but Art's like evil. Yeah. So that's how I kind of approached him. That's how that's what I went in with in my mind.
I have this image of Joe the Mr. Bean sandwich scene. Joey's got on the bench and he whaps like the bread. And I just have that point instead of Mr. Bean, but Art the Clown instead. Doing that.
Just whacks the fish, puts it on the sandwich. It's like, oh, yep. Is it breathing? Okay, no, it's not breathing. It's so good. I actually one time when I was doing a play when I did the 39 steps, I integrated that little bit there with the fish into the play.
Wow, amazing.
It's like, because we're having like this one character I was playing, we're having dinner and we have fish for dinner.
And you saw your opportunity.
You took it.
It's like it's like a little homage to Mr. Bean there. So I was like, yeah.
I love it.
Amazing.
How did the role of Art the Clown come about to you, if you don't mind me asking?
I just randomly came across an audition notice. I was on a website and they were looking for a tall, skinny guy that had clowning or physical comedy experience. And I was like, oh, that sounds like me. And I had seen All Hallows Eve too, so I was already familiar with the character of Art. So I was like, oh my God, I would love to play this. And like, that's the difference, I guess, between me and the original Art, Mike Gianelli. He's not really, I guess you would say, a professional actor. He was just like a friend of Damien's.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right.
So he's just like, hey, you want to come on and do this? Okay, sure, buddy. Yeah, that's what they did. And so he doesn't have like that training for like, especially with physical comedy or clowning like I do. And that's something more I wanted to add to the character, was more of that element to him, because he is a clown. So he's got to have some kind of, ability to do some of that kind of stuff. And this, I think that adds more to the character as well, because he's not just a silent character like so many silent characters, where there's a guy wearing a mask that just occasionally just turns his head to the side, and that's all you get out of him. Art's one of these characters that actually has a range of emotions that you see. You can tell when he's getting, irritated, or he's getting, pissed off, or, he's happy. It all shows on him. You can kind of see what's going on in his head, and that's kind of what's fun about him. And so I wanted to add more of that clowning and miming aspect to him, so I could, develop more of that and give him more of a personality.
I think comparing those two, you can definitely see it looking at the pizza parlor scene in Terrifier. Mm-hmm. Even from you just sat there staring at the girl that's soon to be murdered, and then all of a sudden you pop into that pose. It's perfect, where your face is resting on your hands, and then when the girl comes to take the selfie, the physicality there, although you were sitting still staring at a girl, the character, you can really see it. It's
so gripping.
Yeah, and
now, so much.
You've probably ruined the movie for me, because I'm going to think of Mr. Bean every time.
That I'm his Spade. Teddy! I just need to bring a teddy bear with me now. Just Teddy.
Yeah.
So good.
I'd love that as an outtake on Terrifier 2.
Please.
Teddy.
Go on. So yeah.
Now you got me doing Mr. Bean now.
When watching Terrifier as well, like you said, he goes through a range of different emotions, and I know there's this scene specifically where he's kind of like a sad Art the Clown, and he's sucking his thumb, and you think, oh, he's actually got a soft side to him, and there's this woman like mothering him, and you're thinking, hang on a second, like, is he actually gonna like befriend this woman? And then but like 2 seasons later, you're running around with her hair on your head. Then I was just like, okay, well, this guy's a bit brutal.
Yeah. He likes to fuck with people.
I think that's the beauty of like when you have like a horror character, but it's not clear what the motive is. Like where it worked with like Michael Myers, it works with like Freddy Krueger, where they're known as like this mysterious person, and it works like that because there is no answer. It's just chaos.
There's no like end objective for him, is there? It's just kind of
I think it makes it scarier when you don't know why he does what he does.
Yeah.
It's like this. Like, is this a guy that just gets off on killing people? And I think that in itself is scary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Like, he's not doing it for revenge or anything. He's doing it because he just enjoys it.
Yeah. There doesn't have to be a reason to it. It's for personal selfish gain.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Was there a particular scene or like from the movie that was your favourite to film or favourite to watch back?
Oh, I would say it's definitely the pizzeria scene.
Yeah.
That was I got to play around with that so much. And you see so many aspects of the character in that whole entire scene too. Yeah. So it's like you see that playful side of him, but you also see that just vicious side of him as well when he's just killing everybody in there. So it's just like it was so much fun to do. So much fun.
Is there that freedom to try and something different? Because that's the benefit of being a independent film, I suppose. And how do you and Damien work on how the character should go and progress?
Yeah, that's something like we discovered about each other doing the first one, because we didn't know each other before filming. So like when he wrote it, he didn't know what I was like as an actor. So there were just times where he's like, go ahead and just play around and see what we come up with here. Other times he told me exactly what he wanted. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I think going into part 2, now we know how each other is. And so we kind of collaborated a lot while he was writing the script. We'd just bounce ideas off each other for scenes. And, so there are scenes in here that he's just like, okay, this is basically how the scene is, but I'm giving you a lot of room just to play around and stuff like that. I'm like, woohoo!
After sitting in hours of makeup for a chair, I think you deserve to be able to play around with the character.
Yeah. Yeah, he knows how to keep me though in line too, because I'm one of these. I like to go as far as I can with things. So sometimes it's like, okay, that's a little bit too goofy, or that's a little bit too over the top. Let's bring it back some. I'm like, okay, fine.
But that's how you gauge.
I just want to give an option.
Yeah.
Because I like to give as many options as possible. It's like, why not? It's like, if you can get something cool out of it, then there you go. I'm like, we have some moments in Terrifier 1 that were not in the script at all, and it just worked out. Like when I flicked the bird, that was a happy accident where they had already said cut, and I was just messing around with Samantha while she's coming back to set, so we had to reset the scene, and they caught it all on camera, and the crew was dying laughing. So we're like, oh, this kind of works.
So why
it works in the moment. So why not keep it? Yeah, and I think it gets one of the bigger laughs in the movie.
Yeah,
definitely.
This is a highlight, actually.
Yeah.
How has shooting the movie changed from Terrifier 1? Have you got a longer period of time to shoot this in comparison to the first one?
We have we have a little bit more luxury, I guess, with time this time, and we have a bigger budget this time too. We're still not a multi-million-dollar film by any means, but I would say our budget's about 10 times as much as the first one.
Right.
Which is good considering all the stuff we're doing with this one. So I'm like, oh yeah, because it's making films is not cheap.
Oh, no,
that is not cheap at all. Oh my gosh, people have no idea. It's like I think we pulled off a miracle with the first one of what we made it for. I mean, we made it for less than $100,000. So that's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. So it's just but it's like, I think sometimes when you don't have those kind of funds, it makes you be a little bit more creative.
Yeah.
You make the best of what you have there, and that's what we did.
That's like how Halloween started though as well, wasn't it? Halloween was like a low budget sort of film, a first 20-day shoot, and look at, what I mean, it's an iconic horror film, like just from that. So like you said, it just depends on how much work you put into it, and obviously the people that you get there with you as well.
That's what I was actually telling Damien when we were filming part 1, because we had so many setbacks, and especially we're hemorrhaging money and stuff like that, and I'm like, look at all these original franchises when they all started off, like Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all those. They were all little low budget independent films as well.
Yeah.
And they exploded after that. It's just like, I think that's what happens. It's like, I think that isn't even what happened back then. Is since they were independent films, they were able to be a little bit more creative.
Yeah.
And do new things. So it's like, yeah.
Do you feel the pressure from it being obviously the success from the first Terrifier? Do you feel that kind of weight coming into the second one, or?
A little bit of both. Of course, there's that pressure there because you don't want to let people down. It's like, oh God, you don't want to have sequelitis that set in where it's like, oh God, what is this crap? It's just like, we want this to be more like, Empire Strikes Back and not like, Batman and Robin. So it's like
less bat nipples.
Yeah. So it's like, but at the same time, like, I love this script. I like this. When I read the script, I thought Damien outdid himself. It's a fun script, and I think that's what's key to this film is keeping the fun element to it all. It's like, I think that's what's been wrong with so many films recently. It's like they forgot how to have fun with horror.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here. We're having fun with it. And I think in that way too, we have a little bit more confidence in ourselves this time with the character, because we know now that the character's loved and people, they're very interested in this. So like, let's have fun with this. Let's have even more fun. We have this confidence now. We don't have to be scared about things. We can have more fun. And I think that's going to translate well to screen.
I think when you're all collaborating as well, as long as you are having fun on set and doing your job, like you say, we will see that as a viewer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I try my best just to keep things fun on set too myself. I was like, I think when people are having fun, that's when you get, because it's easy when you're sitting around forever just waiting to go back on set. It's easy to get into a little bit of a funk and stuff like that, and that can affect your performance too. So I try to keep things as upbeat as I can, and so I'm not one of those guys that's like in character the whole entire time, just being malicious and mean and standoffish or whatever. I'm joking around and having fun with everybody. And like the other night, I scared the crap out of one of my co-stars while she's sitting in the holding room. She's sitting there on her phone, and I just crept up to the window and just stood there and stared at her. And she's just like on her Instagram, she looks up. Then I got some more people doing the same thing later on. I was having fun doing that. It was just like, it just kept it fun. So it's like, yeah, I know it's probably going to come back to. They're going to probably try to scare me at one point. So
But that's fun for them.
It's only fair. It's only fair.
Absolutely. We were a while ago talking to Sean Clark, who is known throughout the horror community. A question was, if you had to assemble your favourite horror team, who would it be? And he said he doesn't want existing, horror icons. He wants new ones. And I definitely think Art the Clown is one of them. Do you think it's, because it's got such a big cult following now, and it has become an iconic character already, which is crazy to see from being out for such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Do you think it gives hope for more horror films and more short horrors to, build up more characters, take more risks?
I hope so. That's what I'm hoping is going to happen. I hope this is going to especially encourage more independent filmmakers to do some stuff like what we did as well. And it's like, because I think this, industry needs new blood in it again.
Absolutely.
It's like, Freddy and Jason and Mike Myers and Leatherface and Pinhead, they all replace the original horror icons like, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I think we need new blood now, because that's all you're getting now is these remakes and reboots of the older films. It's like, let's bring some new things in here, and I'm hoping we're helping to lead that charge.
I definitely think so, yeah, because like I say, the character stands out, and I think a lot of fans see that and see how genuine it is as well.
Have you noticed that at conventions? Because I know you're active on the convention scene a lot. Have you noticed that reaction from fans and the support that you've got behind it?
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. There's some like very, very, very serious fans out there, and I love it. It's just like all the tattoos I've seen alone have been nuts. It's just it's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable, and it's like it makes me feel good. It makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what's so cool too, is that people are still discovering the movie too. I don't know how many times I've been at conventions, like they're like, I saw you were coming to this convention, so I want to know what this movie was about. And they're like, oh my God, I just watched it the other night. It's amazing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, keep telling your friends.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool seeing how people are still discovering it. And
now it's going to be a second one to build up even more.
Yeah.
So it can only get better for you.
Oh, that's what's happened. That's what happened to the original ones. I was talking to Heather Langenkamp about this, and she was like, she commented to me, she's like, it's unbelievable how quickly this is already caught on with the public. She said, for Robert with Freddy Krueger, she said it took about 4 or 5 years before the public really caught on. It's like basically Dream Warriors, which really made Freddy really stand out to people. And like, she's like, it's amazing how quickly art has already caught on with the public. Now, I think a lot of it comes down to social media now. There's like, there's that easy access to things, and you can share stuff so much easier with your friends. And I think that's what's helped us out. It's been the fans just constantly talking about the film and telling their friends they have to see it and sharing about it on social media. It's like, because we didn't, unlike a lot of these other films, we didn't have a big, huge publicity team going out there and, hyping the movie or anything like that. We weren't in like magazines or, a lot of those mainstream websites. It was all the fan sites and just the fans themselves and podcasts like you guys, that had gotten the word out.
Yeah.
crazy.
Is that what you're applying for the second one as well? Because that's what works. That's your fan base. Hence, you know, we're very thankful you're doing this podcast.
No, you're very welcome.
Yeah, is that what you're going to continue to do because that's what works so well? Because I'm sure there are mainstream media that have spoke to you as well because of how much the films picked up.
You'd be surprised. That's something I don't know. I was kind of hoping a lot of studios were going to approach us, but not really anybody really did. We had a few approach us, but they didn't really give us the deals that we wanted. They wanted most of the control. And that's something Damien was saying absolutely no to. He really, this is his baby. This is his creation.
You can see,
and that's when we're talking to Heather again. It's like that's one of the things she said to him. She's like, "Don't let go of your baby." She said that was one of the things that Wes Craven really regretted doing was giving away all the control to Freddie.
Yeah,
like that makes sense. So like we've had to do our own. Like we probably could have had even a bigger budget, but I don't know how much we would have had to sacrifice.
Exactly. I think you're making a better movie not going for the higher budget and taking the risks and everything that you would do and keeping it independent as well.
Yeah. And I hope, if it is the success I think it's going to be, I hope that sends a message to Hollywood as well saying, like, look, take risks again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please start taking risks. Let filmmakers do the films they want to do. Because I think that's the thing. It's like that. When you have the people that actually care about the genre in charge of making the movies of that genre, that's when you get the better product. I think a lot of these Hollywood studios, they're not really horror fans themselves. They just see horror as an easy way to make a lot of money.
Yeah, they just want to secure their investment and make sure they can make their money back. So they don't want you cutting a girl's head off and wearing a face or anything like that.
Yeah, they don't understand. That's actually what the fans want.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Fans love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like in ways like when people go to the cinema, they expect obviously, like you get a lot of different people going there to watch a horror movie, but like for the actual horror fans, it's a different experience watching like movies that come from Hollywood and recycled reboots and stuff like that. It's a different experience for actual horror fans. Compared to like watching something that you can tell someone's put like the blood, sweat and tears into.
Yeah. I think you can tell that difference there, definitely.
Yeah. I think one of the big examples of studio taking over, obviously you'll be familiar with the Justice League film from a couple of years back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think that's like one of the prime examples of when they should just lead with one direction and not go with a mashup as it was in the end.
Oh, God. It's just like, it was fun because I watched the Nostalgia Critic last night. He did a whole review of the Justice League movie, and it was just like, yeah, I forgot how bad this actually was. It's just like, this is just, like one of the things he was commenting on was just like the bad jokes they had in there with, like, they're just trying to make Flash the comic relief, and it just was not funny. It was just like, this is like what people think is like, people that are not funny think is funny.
Yeah.
Like this is just lame. Yeah. It's like when you have that and then you go watch like Thor Ragnarok, which is like, good God.
Yeah.
It's like, that was a fun movie.
Yeah.
That was like, oh my God. It's like let Taika Waititi like direct everything now. I'm like, it's like that, and like What We Do in the Shadows, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I love this guy.
Yeah. Well, in relation to that, then obviously Martin Scorsese made the comments of that Marvel stuff and all that isn't cinema. Obviously, I'm imagining that you disagree with that. Obviously, being a comic book fan as well.
Yeah, I totally disagree with that. It's like there's different types of cinema.
Yeah.
It's just like different people like different things. And like, I'm a big, huge comic book geek, and I really love superhero stories. It's modern day mythology.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what it is. It's just like, superhero stories are the oldest stories that have ever been told, going back to Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
So you can't say this is not cinematic.
Yeah, I think that's just a terrible thing to say towards.
Yeah.
It's just ignorant, I think, more than anything.
Yeah,
I think
it really is.
Yeah, because you're definitely having that interaction. There's still interaction. Someone else is still speaking to another person, or etc. The storyline is still moving forward. There's still some sort of end premise. It still
you
works
still have heavy plots in there that have very important themes that they're dealing with. It's just like you get into it. I remember watching Endgame, and there was barely a dry eye in there when all that happened at the end. I don't want to spoil anything for those that haven't seen it, but it's like, that one moment is like, wow, people it's because people had built a relationship with that character over like a decade.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was something that was pretty impactful.
And in the comic books, it's like it's not just one singular story; it's an arc they build towards something. So in a sense, it's worked the same way as it has in the cinematic universe, etc.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I love those films. They're fun. I'm not going to go watch. It's like there's a difference between a Scorsese film and the difference between a Marvel film. I go into a Scorsese film wanting like a very complex plot and really deep character development. When I go into a Marvel film, I just go in there for fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just fun. But they sometimes have added really deep character development and all that into those Marvel films too. So I'm like, oh wow, that's even an added bonus. But that's just how I'm like. I want to hate the Fast and Furious movies because I'm like, oh, this is just so stupid. But they're so much fun. They're just fun, and sometimes to me, cinema is about escapism.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. That's what I think Scorsese's losing out on. It's like they're different types of escapism. Sometimes you want a complex story. Sometimes you just want to turn off your brain and watch things go boom.
Yeah,
that's just how it is. And it's like don't be hating on a comic book movie just because you're not making them.
Yeah, it's like the difference between if you say you watch a Marvel film and then you go and watch a Chris Nolan film. It's just like the complexities looks completely different.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I'm like, you can't go watch the Dark Knight and tell me that's not cinematic in any way.
Yeah.
And that's a damn good movie in itself. Go watch Joker. That's a good movie. It's a very good movie.
That's a whole different thing in itself. Yeah, like I really like the new approach onto the Joker, where it was less superhero approach, more like real life in a way, because you can tell why and see why this guy is like why he is, and obviously with the mental health issues behind it and everything like that, it raises a lot of issues like that and keeps it real. Like a lot of people could probably relate to that character.
Very much so. Very much so. It's just I'm so torn about Joker too, because I'm such a purist when it comes to the character and the comics. Because I don't think that Joker should ever have like an origin story.
Yeah.
Like
we were talking about. The mystery makes that character who's been going for decades so evil. Yeah,
and yet they do that in this movie, and I'm like, but at the same time, they kind of leave it up. If you really look at the movie, it's like, did any of this really happen? Is this? So you don't. There's so many ways to interpret it, but as itself, it's a damn good movie. Like it's a really good story. I'm like, I think that it could have stood on its own without any of the comic book elements at all, and you didn't need any of the Joker or Batman elements at all. It could have stood on its own. It's that good of a movie. It's just like the characters are great. It's a great movie, but yeah, like I said, I'm purist when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like this whole thing I saw recently this week saying that they might be casting Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I'm like, no. No, why? No. It's just like, that's when I'm like, the Hollywood system comes in. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's like, and I've actually had discussions with people about that, because some people are like, oh, he's such a great actor and blah, 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 blah. What does it matter about canon? Because it does. He's not the Penguin if he's not the Penguin. Yeah. It's like the whole thing with the Penguin, like part of his core element is he's a short, fat guy with a bird-like nose, and he got his name and he was ostracized during his childhood because of his looks. So that's what made him what he is.
Yeah.
And like you can't strip that away from the character. It's like you can't have someone like Pretty Boy Colin Farrell over here playing the Penguin.
Yeah.
Where it
It's
takes
like
that fandom and
I just don't get it. I
yeah.
don't get it. I think it's like they just want to put as many big names into this movie as they can. And I'm like, guys, don't cast him as someone other than the Penguin if you want to. He could fit Black Mask. He could fit Two-Face, any of these characters, but not Penguin. You got plenty of capable actors. I know Danny DeVito still wants to play Penguin again. Let him do it.
So good.
Like Patton Oswalt, or Jonah Hill, or Bobby Moynihan. Or there's so many guys that could actually play him and do him well, and actually be a good representation of what he was in the comic books.
Yeah.
It's like,
What are you thinking of Robert Pattinson as Batman?
Battinson. He's a great actor and everything, but I don't see him in my head as Bruce Wayne. I see him as a Dick Grayson type of character, or Jason Todd type.
Yeah,
character,
that's a
but not-
show. Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah.
I feel like he's
He's more-
somewhat redeemed himself in the terms of that he's been doing more independent film rather than large box office. I'm going for dark, like macabre, like tone films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that that's
But physically,
totally.
physically, he's not a Bruce Wayne to me.
No, he's not exactly like hench.
So,
Yeah, there's a certain physicality and a look that I think Bruce Wayne is supposed to have.
Yeah.
He has more like the physicality and the look of Dick Grayson.
Yeah, totally.
And that's like, he would be a perfect Dick Grayson. Like, let him do Nightwing or something like that. That would be great.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
Sorry, going back to the Joker, like one good thing about that I liked was the references to Batman. So you had your little Bruce Wayne, and you saw the death of Martha and Thomas Wayne as well, which I was kind of fanboying over when I saw. I didn't expect that from the film, obviously, and they just threw that in there, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was kind of interesting that they went on that one fan theory that like Joker might actually be Bruce Wayne's like half brother.
Yeah.
Because that's been a fan theory for a few years. I know. It's like, could he be like Thomas, like a child from Thomas Wayne from a previous, Those I love those kind of theories like that. Because I think that's why you don't need to have a backstory for that character. Because I think it's more fun coming up with the theories about who he is.
Yeah.
And the diehard fans will look into that and find all these theories and create their own. That's what builds the characters.
It's like even with like the Killing Joke, which is like a lot of people think that is his backstory. It's like even in that they said, this is not necessarily my backstory. Like sometimes I remember my past one way, sometimes another. If I'm gonna have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. It's like so he's an unreliable narrator of his own past.
Yeah.
I think is very intriguing about him. It's like in knowing that Batman is the world's greatest detective. And being the world's greatest detective, he still could not figure out who the Joker was, and so it drove him, batty enough that like when he sat on the Mobius chair, that's the question he asked: what's the Joker's real name? It's like that's tells you all you need to know about this character. It's like, you're not supposed to know who he is. If the smartest guy in the world, when it comes to deducing things like this, can't figure it out, we're not supposed to know.
Yeah,
of course.
And that's the one thing that. That's the one thing that drove me crazy about Joker. Is like everybody knows who Arthur Fleck is.
Yeah.
They know that he is the Joker, so there goes the mystery there. And people are even going off, well, he could be like the prototype Joker, the real Joker bases himself off of. I'm like, no, you don't understand Joker. Joker would not do that. Joker would not copy someone else. His ego would not allow that. He doesn't want to be an imitation of someone else. He wants to be the Joker, not a Joker.
Yeah.
Well, there's a theory now that apparently the whole Joker film was like a sort of a dreamed up by the Joker, and he's actually still in Arkham.
Yeah.
So that'd be a pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we don't know who he is, that's the thing. I like. But I also kind of like that his name was Arthur. I'm like, Arthur that works as a clown. Where have I heard that name before?
Maybe.
But I digress.
Likes pizza.
Likes pizza. Has a penchant for hacksaws, you know. Wearing someone's boobs. I don't know.
Where the day takes you.
Yeah, you know.
I'm definitely jumping off topic, but referencing something you mentioned earlier about the cinema is escapism. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on all these streaming services that are bidding for them and sort of taking away the actual, you know, people going to a movie theater and escaping in that cinema room to watch the movie?
Yeah, that is kind of disappointing in some ways because I love going to the movie theater. I love that, especially being with an audience. Especially horror films. I love to go see horror films at a movie theater with an audience because that experience you can get with an audience sometimes could be magical. I sometimes get so much more fulfillment out of that than seeing it, just watching a film on my couch.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that gets lost. It's like, there's certain films I have to see on the big screen. Like every time there's a Star Wars movie, I have to go see that on the big screen.
Yeah, of course.
That's just like, that's something I have to. Yeah, I love those kind of experiences, and yeah.
Yeah. So if there was an already existing character at the moment that you could play, it doesn't have to be obviously comic book and that, but it could be anything. What would you choose? Who would you like to play?
Well, number one, of course, would be Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, but I would prefer to play him on a TV series.
Yeah.
That way I could have more time with the character and, develop him and really go in more depth with him. Plus, I want to do him as the comic book version because that's like the one thing that gets me. It's like every version I see on screen, it's basically not the comic book version of the characters. Someone just trying to be a little bit more creative with them. Like, no, I want to see the comic book version of them brought to life. And I think the closest we've come to him is either, Romero's version that he did back in the 60s, because that was close to the comic book version at the time.
Yeah.
Or, Mark Hamill's interpretation of him, which is just, that is the Joker to me. It's that's just fantastic. That's like, I do a lot of my version of the Joker's got a lot of Hamill-isms in it because I think he nails the character. He understands that character. So I'm like, that's what I would like to do, and I would really like to bring that what I think is that version of Joker out more instead of being like, oh, let's just have him with tattoos all over him and just like no. But other than that, I mean, I would love because I'm a musical theater guy myself. And the one thing, because they're doing so many Broadway adaptations of movies and stuff like that all the time here in New York. And the one thing they haven't done, which amazes me, is they have not done a live adaptation of Nightmare Before Christmas. Because I think that would be, you could do so much cool stuff with that, with puppeteering and all that kind of, like get the creative team behind Lion King involved with that. It'd be amazing. And I would love to play Jack Skellington so much. I think he's such a fun character in that way. And it's not a character I traditionally play either, is because I usually don't play like the leading man, the serious type of character, but I would love to play Jack. And I think another thing I would like to do is do a reboot of The Mask. But as the original Dark Horse comic version of The Mask, where it was very dark.
The film was such a small part of the comic. It's a massive comic, isn't it?
Oh, it's a massive comic, and there are multiple people that wear the mask too. And I think that's and it's so violent and dark. It's just like, and I think that could actually, could easily translate to a series, like a Netflix series or something like that. And I think like Deadpool has shown that type of humor and that kind of violence works well with a comic book type character.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would like to do that too. I would love to play The Mask.
That would be amazing.
So good.
I love that idea.
I felt that was like something that was missing when they did Son of the Mask, with the Jamie Kennedy.
Oh yeah, that was just
that was missing a lot of that like kind of comedic value to it. It felt a bit cheap in a way.
It was too kiddie. They made that one way too kiddie.
Yeah.
It's like no. Especially if you've read the original Dark Horse comic version of the Mask, it's like, oh my god, he's just going around and killing people left and right. Like that whole like scene that you see in the Mask with the mechanics, they kind of did the same thing in the comic book, but even more violent.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, yes, that would be fun to do.
I just think with Deadpool and obviously, like Terrifier, we are leaning more towards getting hard R ratings, and it's slowly getting more gory, more gritty. Do you think that's something that's going to follow suit, or do you think it's sort of a fight from one to the other?
I think the pendulum is starting to swing back towards that way. I think people are getting a little bit too tired of the PC culture we've been living in like the past decade or so, and they're like, we want to get back to like the things we enjoy.
Yeah.
Not just with like horror films. I think with comedies as well. It's like like we don't have the comedies that we used to have.
Yeah, it's really died off recently, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just kind of like
comedy films, and now sort of disappearing.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, and I think it's because people are too afraid of offending people anymore. It's like, but that's
true.
The horror and comedy are the two things that you shouldn't be afraid of doing that with.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because everyone's going to get offended, but that's part of exploring these two genres.
Yeah.
That's a part of having an opinion. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I look at the movie Blazing Saddles. I'm like, that movie. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time. But boy, that movie pushes a lot of envelopes in it. But it's like, but at the same time, it's so true. It really, that's one of those movies that really turns the mirror on society. But that's one of those movies that could not be made today.
Yeah.
People are like, oh no, this is horrible. You can't do this and this and this and this and this. In a way that.
Yeah, it's like when Friends went to Netflix and they had that whole new audience like beginning to watch it, and we're like, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. You're never going to win now, unfortunately. I think that's just the way modern society is when it comes to viewing something and opinions and stuff like that. There is no right answer to everything.
Yeah, you're never going to appease everybody.
I think that's why.
That's how I look at it.
I'm a massive fan of Trey Parker and Matt Stone, Netflix, and not Netflix, South Park and Basketball. But I love the fact that they'll offend everyone. Everyone is a victim, and you just have to.
No one is safe.
Yeah, the things they get away with are brilliant, and I think the reason that show's gone on for so long is because they're still having fun with it and sticking true to offending whoever they want to.
They still got their pulse on society. The finger on the pulse of society. They understand what's going on in the world, and that's what amazes me is how quickly they'll put some of these episodes out that are so relevant to what just happened in the news. Like, holy crap!
So, a 6-day turnaround on an episode. It's crazy.
Jeez, that just happened 2 weeks ago, and you're already doing an episode about it.
Although you're saying that only a year later you're filming the sequel for Terrifier 2. That's a massive turnaround for a movie.
Yeah, especially when you don't have the studio system behind you. When you don't have a whole team of writers and producers coming in and it's like, here you go.
With that, actually, is it a lot of the... I know you can't tell us things about the new film, but is it on sets or is there a lot of live locations being filmed?
We have both. We're having to build a few sets considering some of the things we have to do to those sets. I don't want to say what.
Yeah.
So we can't do that to a live location. So, but we're using a lot of live locations and stuff like that. Like the thing I put on Instagram last week, the first set pick that we had, that was a live location in Brooklyn.
Right. Okay.
It's really cool. It's like, and we're making the most of like what we find in those locations too. It's like, oh, well, this can translate to this. It's like something we used as that was actually just a tunnel for the railroad train that went through there. We used for something else in the film. I'm like, oh, that totally works. You put some lighting in there, you put some fog effects in there, and boom, looks like something else.
Yeah.
Do you have that sort of, even just that itself is a creative outlet and, blends to the film? So
Yeah.
Do you like the fact that you're going from different places all the time because you're doing this character in different environments that might bring out different aspects of the character and the film as well?
Oh, I love it. Let's have Art go on a road trip.
A bit like Mr. Bean's holiday, but
yeah. Oh my God, Art takes a holiday. Oh my God, that would be so much fun. Just going across America, killing people.
That's the series.
Just going to national landmarks or something. Oh my God.
And an idea was born.
It's like Anthony Bourdain type thing with Art instead on the road. On the road with Art.
That'd be so good. So, as we told you before, we have a section in our podcast called Pet Peeves. It is essentially a free of all section where you can rant about whatever you want, start the conversation, and we'll discuss.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Joe, we was actually going to use that as a sample ages ago on the podcast. We was itching.
That's brilliant. We can use that.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that was like when it comes to horror films, like probably one of my biggest pet peeves is the over reliance of jump scares to get scares in a movie. I see so much of that now, and it's not relying on the other aspects of what's actually scary. I think like when I went to go see like Pet Sematary earlier this year, so many jump scares. So many jump scares, as opposed to things that are actually kind of scary. It's like when you look at Terrifier, we don't really have any real jump scares in it.
Yeah.
It's just
totally.
And I would say probably in part 2, we really don't have any jump scares in that either.
One thing I love about Terrifier was when you see part of the character come to life, it's not the, massive strings played at 1,000 decibels. It was this sort of twisted, sort of creepy sound that worked well with the character and told the story together.
Well, it was just like that's how the movies were back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Especially like you look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is like they didn't have jump scares in that at all. It was just that feeling of an ease that permeated the whole entire film. It's just like that's kind of how Terrifier is. Is that you're like, oh God, this just does not feel right.
Yeah.
And I think that's far more effective because a jump scare is immediate. That's just is a quick reaction and then it's gone. That establishing that whole feeling of just unease lasts, and that will last after you leave the movie theater.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's there to make you feel uncomfortable. I think if you can watch a horror movie on mute and it still creep you out, then it has done something, remarkable. It's done its job in a sense.
Yeah.
Whereas films like Paranormal Activity, I've watched that film on mute and it's dreadful. Just as bad as when you unmute it.
That movie relies on sound design so much. That's so dependent on sound design. I was like, that's the one thing I have to hand to that movie. Is like they had damn good sound design on that.
Yeah.
But I can imagine watching that without sound. It'd be like, oh, this is boring.
Yeah. Yeah. CCTV footage and that was it.
Yeah. It's like, okay, this is boring. But yeah, it's that it shows what an impact sound design will really have on a film. That's very true. Very, very true. Like, or music, especially music, just like background music can totally change the scene.
Yeah.
I watched this video recently of like this mom and their daughter walking down the street, and like the daughter falls into a manhole cover. And it's like, it's a horrible video when you watch it. Like, oh God, this poor child just fell in. They have to like pull her out of the manhole. It's like the manhole just flips over and she goes right down. So if you watch that normally, you're like, oh God. But whoever made this video put the Mario Brother music over it. So it has her just like da 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 da, and then they pull her out and they go, woohoo! It makes all the difference in the world. I'm like, oh my god, I should not be laughing at this. But it's that music made all the difference in the world. And you see that too, where they make fake trailers for like Disney movies and they put horror movie music behind it. And you're like, oh god, that totally changes everything.
As soon as you were mentioning the different music, have you ever seen there's the one of Mrs. Doubtfire, but as a thriller where she's a serial killer? It's hilarious.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so well done.
It's so simple but so effective. It's like, and that shows you how important like good sound design and good music is for a film.
Yeah, totally.
And luckily, like with Terrifier, we got Paul Wiley, who came in, from Marilyn Manson. He did our music for us, and I think he's gonna be back for part 2 to help out as well. He's already been contacting Damien and stuff like that. So it's like he gets that type of music that the film needs.
Is that like a collaboration with Damien and himself as well, or does the cast sort of, suggest things as well?
It's more Damien himself.
Yeah.
But we've started to have independent artists actually even reaching out to us for part 2, wanting to get their music in. Because like my cousin, she had a band out there in Portland for a while called Thanks. And they had their music in our film as well. And it was just, they unfortunately all broke up right after that because they all got married and moved on with their lives and stuff like that. But it's still, she and her band are immortalized in Terrifier now. So it's just like, and she'll sometimes get people commenting on her videos and so like, oh my God, you're the band from Terrifier. Yeah, I heard your music in Terrifier. Like, that's awesome. But that's kind of cool too. Like, in a way, I guess we're helping independent artists in a way too, so that's kind of cool.
Which is the field you're in, because it's an independent film. Why not help?
Yeah, it's like
the urge not to plug your own band is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I bet. Like I say, contact Damien. That's what I say. It's just like he's a busy guy, but you never know. Because I know that he recently heard this one band recently, I think our costumer turned him on to this band, and there's this one song he heard. He wants it to be in the film. He contacted the band, and they're going to put it in the film now and stuff like that. So it's like, that's awesome. And it totally fits this one scene we're doing. So I'm like, this is fantastic.
It's things like that that can inspire a whole change of a scene and, create something that just from one song, it's incredible.
Oh, it really is. It really is. It's like you go back and look at those older movies. They all had an iconic soundtrack to them. It's like even just the that's so effective. It's like, damn, that's so good. But you see these horror films now. They don't have that kind of soundtrack to them. They don't have the musical underscoring like that anymore. It's just like I think that's part of what works so well.
Yeah, there's no lasting impression of a motif that sticks with you for a character on some of these new horror films. I've never really noticed that.
Yeah, and I've noticed that not even just horror films, but films in general. You don't really have the themes anymore that you used to have, like the John Williams themes, the Danny Elfman themes as much. It's like, oh God, it's like where the what is it? Who did Back to the Future and all that? That sound, it's just you're like, oh yeah, that's so, or Ghostbusters, they all had a certain sound and feel to them. It's it's gotten so generic.
Yeah.
Totally. That's another thing that grinds my gears.
Amazing. So good.
I think that's
I think we'll bring it to an end there, but thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Super appreciate it.
This was a fun conversation.
Oh, thank you. Well, we'll happily have you on at any time that you feel that you want to come on.
Of course, I'd be happy to.
But yeah, so enjoy the filming of the rest of Terrifier 2, and I can't wait to see it myself.
I imagine it'll be an absolute success, as the other one was.
Here's hoping.
I have no doubt.
I have full confidence. It's like I said, guys, it's such a fun film. It's such a fun script. It's going to be such a fun film to watch.
Hopefully we see a teddy bear in there, maybe.
Hey, you never know. Never know.
Do
Just sneak a teddy bear in the background of the scene, just for Mr. Bean.
Yeah, I might do that. You never know. You never know. I might convince Damien. Like, Teddy.
So good.
Yeah, thank you very much anyway. We might just have you on, like, if you could come on again, we'll just have you doing impressions all the way through. We can talk to different characters,
I can entertain myself for hours.
Well, I've loved this. Thank you very much, David. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers,
enjoy
man.
the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
See you later.
Bye,
Bye.
man.
That was episode 19 of An Earful Podcast with David Howard Thornton.
Massive thank you for David to take the time to speak to us and give us all the inside gossip, what's going on so far at the Terrifier 2 set. Imagine it's going to be a massive success when it comes out, and we can't wait to see it.
Don't forget to check out Terrify if you already haven't, and also the upcoming film Terrify 2. Also, don't forget to check out David on his socials as well. So he's under David Howard Thornton on Instagram, and there's also a David Howard Thornton fan page as well you can find on Facebook as well. Yeah.
If you haven't already, make sure you check out all of our previous episodes on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. Any listeners appreciated, and if you do really like it, spread the word by posting about it, tagging us in it, or whatever else you want to do. But otherwise than that, thank you very much.